Welcome to the E-Show with Neil Ravin. With over 1,000 NCAA commitments, the EHL is the proven path to college. Turn it up and learn more about the college placement leader at the Division II and III levels.
Welcome to the E-Show, presented by the Penalty Box Foundation. The Foundation's mission centers around their daily motto, "We take care of our own," as they help out all those within the hockey community who have experienced a catastrophic event. Learn more at penaltyboxfoundation.org. Once again, my name is Neil Ravin. This is episode number 24, and I am beyond pleased to be joined on this edition of the podcast by the founder and CEO of the Penalty Box Foundation, Drew Laine. Drew, welcome to the E-Show.
Hey, man. How are you?
Good, man. How are you doing right now?
Hanging in there. We're busy, really busy, but during these times, that's a good thing, right?
Exactly. I was going to say, my first thing I wanted to ask you is, it's kind of a loaded question, but how have these times really just affected you?
Oh, we had two choices as a foundation, right? We were looking at the spring and the summertime, and we understood that it was unlikely that we were going to be able to have any sort of events, and events run the foundation. They raise the money. They bring people together. It's a really big deal for us to lose some of the events we had planned. We could have run, we could have backed off, but we decided, you know what, let's circle the wagons and let's start doing things for the community. Let's, as our motto says, let's start taking care of our own. So we really took that on. And over the last 60 days, we've done some great things with the community. They've really stepped up to help those in need who are really struggling during this time. We put on a mini Olympics, 2 weeks mini Olympics for kids at home that just got them out of their parents' hair and kept everybody sane for a little bit. We raised over $15,000 and purchased Sparks face shields to donate to local hospitals here in Massachusetts. Last Friday we held a youth suicide summit. We brought together 4 hockey parents who had lost their children to suicide. And got information and resources together for the community. So, man, it's been a busy time, a different time for us, but it's been a time for us to focus on who we are.
Yeah, and you guys are the new presenting partner for the podcast. Obviously, I wanted to find a right time where we're going to talk about why we picked this date as we get further along in this podcast. But I've had a number of people reach out and say to me, what is the Penalty Box Foundation? I go, well, when you go to their website and you click their About section, there's actually 4 different elements to it. And I wanted to break down all 4 with you while we're here on the podcast because each one is unique and different. So let's start with the first one. When Penalty Box Hockey was first formed in 2016, it was a subscription box. Can you take us back to 2016 and what exactly you were going for at that time?
Oh boy, I don't know if I want to go back to 2016 with that. Honestly, it started in a garage, and it wasn't our core business at the time. Myself and my business partner have a software company, but we were sitting around on a Friday afternoon, kind of just throwing around ideas of things that we could do next. And we're both ex-hockey players. We have kids who are coming up through the system, and decided, you know what, let's look at a subscription box. And we whiteboarded a few ideas, and it kind of went off to the side as yeah, that's great, but we'll never do that. But I couldn't get it out of my head. So 2 days before Black Friday back in 2016, I decided, you know what, I'm getting a website up. We're starting a subscription box. We launched it, and we had no idea what we were doing. And fortunately and unfortunately, we had 2 of the larger Hockey Mom blogs pick up on it, calling us the hockey gift of 2016. And we were struggling to, over the next 2-3 weeks, figure out what the heck a subscription box was and how to fulfill it, how to get product and get it out the door. But that's how we kicked off. It was a simple idea that kind of took off, and that was the start, man. It was all out of the garage too. It was crazy times back then.
And for that box, is it still something that's, I don't want to say your number one priority, but is it still a consistent seller for you?
It is, especially through this epidemic. People are looking for a little pick-me-up during for their time at home, we'll say. And it's such a great mix of apparel and gear that, kids can open it up and have a good time. But it's a driver. It's not a major driver of our business at this point. But it's certainly is our core and who we are, and it's still trucking, so it's exciting.
And it's funny how they work, because we have a dog. I mean, this is different. This is a pup box, but every month my fiance looks forward to the pup box coming in the mail. For your penalty box, do you specifically pick what items are in each month? Do you have like a month-to-month plan? How does that work?
Yeah, so we try to. We absolutely try to, but with the number of subscribers we have at this point, it's tough to go to the smaller to mid-sized manufacturers and say, hey guys, we need 1,200 of this, but we need it by next month. So we've had to kind of step back and start planning and get things together in preparation for coming months. But we try to mix it up. The past 4 or 5 months have really been great. We've received great feedback. Apparel, training gear, in all sorts of stuff in there. And
2 years after you guys released the box for the first time, that's really when the foundations came about, 2018. Had that always been on your mind, or is it something that just, all right, now is the time we're going to do this?
Look, we started it had never occurred to me that we'd start a foundation in the hockey world. But when we started with the foundation, we kind of saw time after time very similar stories within the hockey community that we grew online, of hockey parents. You see something tragic, something catastrophic happen to a hockey family, a hockey program, a hockey player, and you'd see the local community really rally around that family or that group and take care of them. And with the reach that we had in North America, we decided, would it be stretched to really take that local grassroots type fundraising and taking care of each other to a national level? So if you're a hockey parent in Boston, if something happens in Minnesota, you're going to have the same feelings about that family and understand what they're going through, and you'll want to help. So it's really just bringing that local community feel, and that in leveraging the national audience, the international audience at this point, to help those hockey families.
And I'm sure this is another loaded question for you, but there's been a number of different instances where you've been able to help out. Is there one or two in particular that when you have a chance to look back, you're going to say to yourself, like, man, that one in particular, that really stands out for me?
Yeah. And this one is the story I tell when it comes down to it, because even thinking about it now, you get a little emotional. But we donated bags right at the start of the foundation, and the idea was that a hockey bag doesn't seem like much, but to a kid who's using his dad's old Army bag in the locker room, it's something. All these new wheeled bags, the grit towers, and this and that. It's almost a status symbol at this point. And there are a lot of kids out there that don't have that. So we went out and I think it was 25 to 30 bags that we sent out to local families that we sourced through the community. And one person sent me a video. It was a foster mom who had her foster son, come in and open the bag on the kitchen floor, and she was videoing it, and he opened it and literally just broke down in tears, sitting there watching. And you think,
I'm getting goosebumps you telling me this story right now.
It's real, man. And it's things like that story right there really catapulted kind of my drive, that it's a damn hockey bag. We can all, the fortunate, we as a community can do better than that. You know what I mean? And it's those sorts of things that really bring impact. In really getting to the emotion of the game, removing the politics that are out there and make the game just so unfortunate at this point. But getting to the core, making sure that community sticks together is really what we're about. And that story right there kind of tells it. And I've been dying to find that video again. It was so long ago, but it's emotional, man. And that's our game. That is who we are.
And that's half of it so far. We touched on the subscription box and the foundation, and I'm sure you and I have probably crossed paths in a rink before. I've never actually met in person here, but the way that we actually got to know each other, John Lounsbury, a former coach in our league, connected me to Hockey Deals and Discounts, this Facebook page. Mm-hmm. Now, I hadn't seen it before, but over 40,000 people had. Can you just talk about what hockey deals and discounts is and how maybe even some of our junior players can get on that?
Yeah. So funny story. After we launched the subscription box back in 16, we were heading into 17, and we were doing a lot of media buys and trying to figure out the business model behind it, how to bring more people in. Honestly, the conversion of of the media we're buying wasn't great, and we had to figure out a way, if we were going to grow it, to get people aware of what we were doing. So we threw it out there, said, let's start a private Facebook group. Let's call it Hockey Deals and Discounts. We'll get our subscribers into there, have them invite their friends and family, and we'll go to manufacturers and say, look, we have this group, this community of hockey parents. It's really targeted, but you're not going to get access to them unless you give them a deal on the gear that you're offering. And that has, we started off, I think the first group was 500 people in the group, then slowly grew, and it blossomed. And it's more than just us running deals in a group. It really turned into something where, it's a mini family where, again, politics aside, we're there to support each other, drop the cost of hockey and level the ice.
Is there a cap on how many people you want in that group, or do you want to see it continue to grow to maybe even the 100,000 mark?
So if it does, that'd be great. But our big thing for the group is that, we have some very specific rules, and it's be courteous, be respectful, and I don't know if I could say the third, but just don't be mean.
Yes.
And if you are, you're gone. We're not looking for people who don't really care about the community, care about hockey, and just want to run their mouths. There are a lot of keyboard rangers out there, and that's not who we are. And I'd rather you go buy from, a big box store than through Penalty Box, if that's the thing.
And what are the hot sellers for you right now during this time?
All the training products.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of at-home training products. We have great partners out there that put amazing products together. We've started to manufacture some of our own balance boards and passers and all that fun stuff to keep the kids out of the parents' hair.
Do you notice like a uptick in that this year in particular, or just regular summer sales?
Yeah, absolutely. So in speaking with all of our training partners, it's been a better than average spring for everybody. And again, think about it. If you're a mom with two teenagers who play hockey, get out in the driveway and train,
And speaking of the moms, let's touch on the fourth and final aspect here on your About Us page. You have a Hockey Mom Society. Now, there's definitely some moms going to be listening at home. Can you talk about why they want to become a part of this society?
Yeah. So funny enough, that the core of our group is really hockey moms. They run they're typically the backbones next to the coaches of the teams and the programs out there. And I'd love to say it was my idea, but it wasn't. We back 2 years ago, I think it was, we launched National Hockey Mom Day, which is the second Friday of every January, just to give love to the moms and give them recognition of what they do for our youth hockey players. And we brought on two amazing hockey moms to, run that. And they decided, what, I think we should rebrand this. We should start a Hockey Mom Society, which is really just a supportive group. And we do a lot of giveaways. We've run Adopt a Hockey Player Senior, which went national. We do a lot of stuff just to keep people smiling and maybe distracted for an hour a day.
I haven't spent too much time on that, but I know it's a Facebook page. And the one thing I noticed, at least with the EHL, is hockey moms love Facebook. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's definitely their home, especially in between periods. I don't know what it is, but I always notice the moms in the stands for us in between periods. The first thing they do is they're heading to Facebook. So.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I mentioned we've probably crossed paths in a rink before. You're somewhat tied in with the Boston Junior Rangers already, one of our teams. Can you talk about what it's like, where you're tied in already with them?
Sure. So we own the store that's in Breakaway, with the home of the Rangers. And through that, we've gotten to know the program. Coach DiCaprio, Coach Acoin, they've been great. We have 5 or 6 guys each year working in the shop and in our warehouse. So we've gotten to know him and ended up turning into a billet family for one of our. We were fortunate. The kid is absolutely amazing, but a Latvian player who played for the EHLP team here, and they've become big brothers to my boys. It's been a phenomenal experience, and coach has done a great job growing that program. And it's looking at when I was a kid, my kids are spoiled. They're around great hockey players. They're always scooting around the rink, and that's because the Rangers program's it's phenomenal.
And this is kind of a tough question to ask because I knew we were going to get to the billet point at some point. And obviously, one thing that a lot of our teams are asking me as a league official this year is, are other teams struggling to find billets? Because obviously, when you have a pandemic like this, one of the toughest things I'm sure you're thinking about it is how do you welcome somebody new into your household? Are you planning on doing it again? And really, what were the biggest, besides being the big brother for your young kids, what were the other big takeaways that you had?
Yeah, being a billet family was the greatest experience we had last year. With the pandemic, you have to watch what's happening out there, but I don't see it having an effect on what we're doing. Our billet son is like family to us, and it'd be like having a cousin or a nephew come stay and play. We've stayed in touch with him and his family throughout. They're phenomenal people. He's a phenomenal kid. So we lucked out. And if anybody is struggling with that, it's worth it. Take the jump and just do it. The biggest thing for us was having that interaction and, seeing the growth of a player, seeing the growth of a program, getting to know the boys on the team. And, it's great experience all around.
And you mentioned you own the shop there. We touched on all the different aspects of the penaltybox.com and what you got going on there, the different Facebook groups and stuff. Is there one element that you have to focus on more than anything else? Or, where do you wake up? Where do you start your day? Where do you begin?
Well, this morning, 4:30 a.m. at Breakaways Gym. And then you just break it up throughout the day to different topics and burning fires and things like that. We do have a lot going on. We also, funny enough, over the past year have taken over 3 different single product brands: Ska Boots, Hockey Tool, and Odor Gladiator. And that's been an adventure getting those products up and out to market. So it's just, making sure your time management is superb. I guess it has to be.
Yeah.
And then making sure you stick to it.
And you seem like an individual who will take on any challenge. Even if you fail, it's not going to keep you from trying something else. Has there ever been a challenge though that you've come across where you've said to yourself, "God, I probably shouldn't have taken this one on"?
Yeah. Every single one of them. But I was taught very early on by some mentors that if you take quitting off the table, then there's no other result but success. So as long as you're out there and you put your head down and you're creating good habits, you sharpen your grit and you just don't quit ever, then you'll be all right. You may have to stop, but it's you certainly take quitting off the table.
And it seems like, for you just go from one to the next, one, I'm raising money for this to the next one. And we go back, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, you worked with Sparks to get face shields. I'm sure that's an idea that you probably just thought of one random night and then all of a sudden it came together like that. Can you kind of take us through that process?
Yeah. So Sparks actually, when they launched the program, reached out and said, "Hey, we're doing this. Do you think that you could get the idea out to the community?" And I said, "Yeah, we can do that. But I think if we threw a fundraiser, I think we'd be able to purchase a heck of a lot of masks and get them out there and donate them to local hospitals. So why don't we do that instead?" And we did. And all we had to do was let people know within the hockey community what we were doing and why it was important. And everybody stepped up. And our team at the penalty box is is the best. They're, everybody from our warehouse staff to our admin teams to our marketing, to, our ops. Without them in place, none of this would happen. Because, I come up with a stupid idea, go out and do it, and they have to deal with it. And they always do. And we do it together, and I can't say enough about them, but the Sparks was prime example of that. They all pushed it. They all made it happen. It was really special.
And speaking of the next challenge, coming up this week, you're going to walk 75 miles in 24 hours. Was this your idea, or was this something that the team came up with?
It should be fun. So we losing our biggest events this spring and summer was tough to swallow. And we realized that, no matter what we do with going to the same group of people and having raffles or having different things, different smaller events, we're never going to be able to get back the funds that we lost with this. But you know what? If we do something crazy, maybe if we put ourselves on the line, we'll be able to raise some extra funds and make it happen. So the idea has always been out there. It's a challenge that was put on by an ex-Navy SEAL called Tom. His name is Tom Shea. And his whole thing is the challenge is simple, but it's not easy, and it's going to test your mental stamina. And if we can do those things, the community needs us to do everything we can.
And you're going to start in Weymouth and go through 12 different towns. Can you talk about how you picked this route and why you did this in particular?
So I grew up in Marion, and that's where we're ending up, which is just off Cape Cod. I have a cousin who's a Southwest pilot and was a Top Gun in the Navy, and he is a phenomenal logistics guy. And Larry Palmer, he put the route together. He went out there, he mapped it, he put the mileage together, the guidebooks, he worked with the rinks. And I don't know what I would have just walked, but he put together the whole logistics plan. They have a support staff out there. And we go by, I believe it's 5 different rinks, and walk through and, end up at Travis Roy Rink down at Tabor Academy, where I grew up skating. And Travis is a great friend, and it's just meaningful to get to that point. I don't want to let him down. That's for sure.
And while you're doing this, so you're going to have a team kind of following you on the path. Is that how this is going to work?
Yeah, so they have an RV set up, and they will they have different points that they'll drive to, make sure I'm on task, on time, okay. and we're moving. So again, Larry is an amazing human. He's done amazing work on this in his life. I'm grateful for him and the rest of the team that's going to be there. It's going to be interesting.
And for those that want to help support, on this journey, you're taking off on Friday at noon. Where could they donate or show their support?
Sure. So just go to penaltyboxfoundation.org, and under the events, there's the 75 and 24 link, and you should be able to donate through there, or contact Larry. His cell phone, his email's there, and we'll love to see you come see me hobble through your town.
And that's why we wanted to have this podcast when we did, because we're gonna release this podcast the day before you take off. And as I started to mention there before, it just seems like with you, Drew, you kind of just go from one challenge to the next. So let's not go too far ahead. You still have to walk 75 miles in 24 hours, but after that, what's next?
Yeah, so we are eyeballing a long swim. So I'll not say more at this point because we don't know how it's going to go. But it's I grew up on Buzzards Bay, and my mom on one side of Buzzards Bay, and all of my family's from the other. So we're kind of eyeballing a little event that may involve a swim across the bay.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on the podcast. This is something that I definitely wanted to make happen as soon as possible. Obviously, our new presenting sponsor for the podcast, but as I've been saying, I want it to be more of a partnership, and I want people in the EHL to look up the Penalty Box Foundation and see all the great avenues that you guys provide, whether it's the Facebook pages or people that have suffered a catastrophic event. It's everything that you guys do it's this community, and I'm just so looking forward to working together.
Yeah, and I truly appreciate it. What you've done here with the EHL and the team. It's been phenomenal to see over the last couple of years, and this show has progressed into something that's I love it. Every week it's great to see what's coming out. So you're doing a phenomenal job there, man. You really are.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast. We'll have to have you on again soon, probably after we start the season. How about that?
Great.
Thanks, man.
Get back to the ice here. Appreciate it.
For sure.
Thanks for listening to The E-Show. Learn more at easternhockeyleague.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Also, be sure to subscribe and get notified when next week's podcast is released.